Greetings, loves. It is I, Tactical Girlfriend. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's doing well. In this day and age, we can't really afford to be mag dumping at the range, or at least I certainly can't. I gotta admit, I haven't been going to the range nearly as much as I would like to, not even as much as last year. The amount of range trips I'm making these days are very, very low. I've been focusing a lot more on my dry fire, and it's been honestly really discouraging and difficult, and I'm sure I'm not the only one here. But that being said, there are certain ways to go about doing training where we're at least reducing the amount of rounds that we're using. If you focus more on low round count drills, you might be able to get some skills sharpened at the range without, necessarily just destroying your bank. So that being said, I do have a few low round count drills that I like to use, and there's tons of different kinds out there. These are just a handful that I'm going to tell you about, and hopefully this is helpful to some of you out there. Now, before we get into brass and tacks here about the drills that I'm trying to run, there are a few concepts that I try to adhere to when I'm trying to go to the range these days. The first one being that I should not be bringing any more ammunition than I intend to shoot. No doubt, if you bring your entire ammo tin filled to the brim with whatever you got, you're going to accidentally load more mags than you ever planned to. You're just going to get carried away, you're going to lose track, and then you're going to go home and regret what you did and rethink your entire life. Then you're probably not going to be very encouraged to continue to go to the next range trip. The second one is going to be dry fire. I know I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Always, always, always be practicing dry fire. We should be doing this regardless of how much ammo costs because it's a very useful tool and it's free and convenient. You can do it at home. In fact, I've got a good video on it and you should definitely check that out. Also, you should be doing a lot more dry fire right before you go to the range, just so that you keep those skills fresh, so that when you get to the range, you're not just wasting time refiguring everything out. Also, when you get to the range, do dry fire again. I know it may look a little ridiculous when you finally get to the range and you're just dry firing some more, but this is a great way to get warmed up without spending any ammunition at all. Save that ammo when it's going to be more useful in the drills afterwards. Next, do your live fire in stages. You want to make sure that you are working on your fundamentals first, get your mechanics down, make sure that you can consistently hit the target over and over and over again, and that you're being very, very accurate and precise. After that, you can start introducing time drills, where you start with one-shot drills and then move on to multi-shot drills so that you can really, really nail down controlling that recoil. Speaking of time drills, get a shot timer. If you got your fundamentals down, if you can hit a target consistently, then you absolutely should be challenging yourself by introducing time drills. This will help you establish metrics, it will help you work under pressure, it'll give you a better idea of what you're capable of and what you want to work towards. That being said, if you don't feel confident in something, try to figure out where exactly you should be and where you want to be. Work within your means, find where you are, and then go from there. Push yourself and challenge yourself, but make sure that you're being realistic. Otherwise, you're going to set yourself up for failure by being really discouraged. Alright, let's actually get to the drills. Now, all of these drills I'm running here today are done with handgun and my carbine. Your loadout may be completely different, your mileage may vary. These are not things that are to be taken verbatim, but simply adapted to your needs, so do whatever you will with this. Speaking of which, all of these drills are ran at 7 yards, and that is the range that I feel is a good one for me. That being said, you can move closer, you can move further back, whatever is within your comfort and whatever is still challenging you. Also, everything that I'm shooting at here is paper. There are 2 targets that I'm going to be using. They're going to be the shoot and seize as well as the IPSC practice targets. Alright, so once you get started here, like I said, we're going to begin with dry fire. Get your targets set up. I generally recommend starting with the shoot and seize, especially because the next drill uses them, but you can do whatever you want here. Then go back to whatever amount of range that you want to be shooting from. In this case, it's going to be 7 yards. Then make sure that your weapon is clear. Make sure that any magazines that you have inserted in the weapon are also either empty or filled with snap caps. Once you're sure you're ready to start dry firing, you can simply either draw from your holster or go from low ready or high ready and simply present on target and pull that trigger. Mind your body mechanics here, make sure that your stance is good, make sure that your grip is solid, make sure that your trigger control is smooth, and that your sight acquisition is consistent. Once you're doing that and you're feeling confident, you can actually start to use your timer as a prompt. Use your timer to actually just prompt you to get your weapon ready and on target and pull that trigger. This will also help get you warmed up for the next drills where you're going to be using the shot timer. Also, just keep in mind that you should be doing this for as much as you want and as long as you want until you're at least feeling confident and ready to move on to live fire. Okay, so once we're feeling nice and warmed up, it's time to start introducing live ammo. So go and load those mags and get ready. Once we do that, make sure that you have a shoot and see target or something at least with a crosshair on it. This way we can monitor our groups and make sure that they're really nice and tidy. Then we're gonna do 5 controlled shots on paper. Nothing fancy here. You're not doing anything timed. You're not drawing from a holster or doing any fancy maneuvers. All you're doing is very intentionally and deliberately taking your time, pulling that trigger very slowly, and just trying to get the tightest groups that you possibly can in however much time you need. Once you do this and you're feeling good, you can start to move on to the next drill. If you're not feeling great about this, you probably should actually just stay here and just keep working at it until you're really consistent. Moving on, the next drill uses the IPSC practice target. In this one, I'm going to be firing 1 round into the body A zone. This is a very generous, large, easy to hit target. That being said, because of that, I want to start pushing myself by using time. I use a shot timer here to draw from holster, from low ready, high ready, just trying to get very consistent results into this target and doing it as quickly as I can. In this case, you're going to start paying attention to your recoil impulse and getting acclimated to that. If you are experiencing any issues, now is the time to diagnose your stance, your grip, your trigger pull, and your sight alignment. Also, make sure that your sights are returning the target consistently, and this is a great way to do this without firing a follow-up shot. Moving on, we're going to start introducing multiple shots in this drill. This one's going to be the half bill drill. Sounds exactly like what it is. It uses half the amount of shots that a bill drill uses. In this case, you're going to be doing 3 shots of handgun in the lower body A zone and 3 shots of long gun in the head A zone. Now, when you're doing this, pay very close attention to how the recoil is affecting your aim, how you're reacquiring your target, and make sure that you're diagnosing any issues that might be coming up here. Try to be very consistent and make sure that all those shots are going into those A zones. Also, again, make sure that you're using a timer, otherwise you're just plinking and this isn't going to be very challenging. Next up, we have the failure drill. This one is fairly simple. It's 2 shots to the body A zone and then 1 to the head A zone. Again, practice drawing from holster, from low ready, high ready, try everything. Also, make sure that you're timing this one as well, otherwise you're just plinking. Now with this drill, it is deceptively difficult because the cadence is really weird. You're going to notice right away that you got to really slow down and dial yourself back and very carefully make that last shot into the head A zone. Also, your holds here are going to be very apparent, so make sure that you got your fundamentals down. Anything that is not tip-top perfect here is going to make itself very apparent. This is a great way to diagnose any of those issues. The next drill I want to talk about here is the 2-shot reload drill, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You're going to be firing 2 shots on a target. In this case, if you got a handgun, that's 2 shots to the body A zone, and again, with a long gun, 2 shots to the head A zone. You're going to need 2 magazines, 1 empty and 1 loaded. Load the loaded magazine into your firearm and strip off the first round into the chamber. Then replace that magazine with the empty magazine, re-indexing the loaded magazine so that it's at the ready. Then start your timer, fire your first shot, then you're on empty, so go ahead and eject the magazine, and then load the loaded magazine, and then fire your next shot. This drill is going to make a lot of things very apparent if your reloads aren't very smooth. Also, it's going to show you how hard or how easy it is for you to reacquire the target after a reload. Make sure that you're working on your reload motions, pay very close attention to every movement of your hands, and work to make this process of getting back on target as smooth and seamless as possible. Moving on, we're going to start introducing transitions. These require 2 firearms. You're going to have a primary and a secondary. In this case, it's going to be my carbine. My secondary is going to be my handgun. In this, I'm going to fire my first shot from low ready or high ready at the A zone body. From there, I'm going to transition to pistol. When you're doing this, absolutely please make sure that your safety is engaged before you lower your primary. You gotta have that safety on before you do anything else. Note how you're transitioning here, making sure that your primary falls clearly out of the way and that you're drawing smoothly from the holster. Make sure that you're not getting caught up in your gear with your body or at any point in this process, and just continue to refine it. Stepping up from there, we have the double transition drill. This is basically exactly the same as the last drill, except we're doing twice as many shots with twice as many targets. So set up a second target as near or far away as you want to from your first target, and you're basically going to do exactly the same thing, just twice. So with your primary, you're going to start your timer, start from low ready or high ready, and then simply fire into the body A zone of your first target, then transition into the body A zone of your second target and shoot there too. Once you take those two shots, again, put your gun on safe, transition a pistol, and mirror the whole thing. You can go either order, left or right, doesn't really matter, but again, one shot to the body A zone of the first target and exactly the same to the second. Like the previous drill, pay very close attention to the mechanics behind your weapon transition and then also with your target transition. At the same time, also notice how your shots are landing on both targets. Monitor, diagnose, and improve shot placement and push yourself to get faster here. Well, that essentially wraps up my basic low round count drills. Make sure that you are really pushing yourself here. Make sure that you have a very clear understanding though of where you are and that you're being realistic. Write down your times, have a good benchmark to work from, and set realistic goals for yourself. Also, if you're feeling frisky, you can simply push yourself further. Introduce concealment, movements, physical activity so that you're bringing your heart rate up. Just make sure that you're having fun with these drills. Experiment, adapt them to whatever your needs are. Don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. This is simply just an example. All that being said, if you've got some other drills in mind that you would like to share, please do so in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, go and like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell too. Also, YouTube's been doing this weird thing where it just randomly unsubscribes people, so if you have been subscribed before, you may want to check back there. I also want to give a huge shout out to all my Patreon supporters. I adore you, and I really appreciate everything that you do for this channel. It's not at all monetized. I refuse to run ads on it. Everything that you see here is brought to you by viewers like you. So if you want to go chip in, you can go to patreon.com/tacticoolgf. You can see the end of the video for the names of my biggest contributors. Well, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. Please be good to each other out there. And as always, please take care. Bye!